Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks. Today taking a look at a 4 versus 4 match on Altered Divide. Let's skip ahead here to the... Whoa, that's a lot of drawings. Let's skip ahead here to the start of the match and we'll get right into this. So, introducing our team, spawning in the southern half of the map, we have our red team. Starting on the left hand side, we have Andreas spawning with this nice hot pink player, nice hot pink color rather. Going to be starting up a vehicle lab right on the get-go. I think that has some potential here. There's definitely a lot of open space on this map. Some kind of cool mountainous terrain features, these satellite dishes worth a lot of energy. Definitely could see some vehicles being a very good choice here. Right next to them we have Yeba, the yellow player here for the red team, going for a bot lab, also a perfectly normal start here. Next to them we have Tefion, the red leader for the red team here. Calling red leader, that's I think it was a Star Wars reference there. I can't remember exactly where that's from. I know they were assaulting the Death Star and something red leader. Anyway, Tefion going for a bot lab here as well. And to round things out on the red team, we have the orange player here, Riker SS. Either way, going for a bot lab here, a Cortex player going for that bot lab. Gonna see some grunts coming out of there for sure. Spawning on the northern half of this map today, we have the blue team here on the left-hand side. In this nice, brilliant purple color here, we have Lottery Apple. A name I don't recognize, but 19 true skills, so definitely getting up there. Very middle ground player, definitely like silver, maybe gold league if you were looking at, I don't know, Valorant. That's my next closest comparison. It's the last game that I played that I was any amount of competitive in. Well, long time ago, 2 or 3 characters ago. Next to him, we have Wild Guy Kills. Wow, that's a terrifying name. I would absolutely hate to run into this guy at midnight on a lone and dusty trail. Feels like the kind of fellow that you definitely only meet once. Spawning over on the right-hand side of this map here, we have this aquamarine color called Huge Game. He's definitely the biggest game ever, the most game ever, if you will. Going here for a mixture of wind turbines and solar panels to get that early game economy up and running. Very nice. Going for a bot lab, by the way. Looks like all of these players are going for a bot. Oh, actually, I misspoke. Lottery Apple going for a vehicle lab, while Wild Guy Kills and Huge Game are going for bot labs. And representing the blue team with the blue color, we have Hog Massive. Just don't read it backwards, folks, and we will be all good. There's a TV button here. Oh, wow, look at that. I don't even have to do my job. It'll just do this for me? I can just turn this on and it'll auto spectate. I guess what we're seeing right now is Tefion's view. This is actually really cool. Let's take a look at this here. We can actually watch Tefion control some of these ticks. This is what we're seeing right now is the perspective of Tefion's camera as we're watching right now. I'm trying to see. It says it'll switch every 20 seconds or so. I guess we have a little countdown right here. Yeah, let's take a look at this for a little while. Tefion getting a nice little pick here, killing Huge Games. Commander, or rather his construction bot, one of those early construction bots. That's definitely a wonderful pick to get off. Now we're switching over to Hog Massive, who is just looking at the base, taking it all in. Are we? Oh, that's weird. Looks like it glitched out a little bit. Anyways, that's kind of an interesting one. We'll have to take a look at that here and there. Definitely cool. Yeah, it looks like we see some early game aggression already. We've got ticks out on the field. I didn't catch who had the first unit out, so I'm not sure who I can award the first unit of the game to. But definitely, every player here is producing just as many units as they can. Very, very nice to see these REZ bots out and about, collecting up all of these resources. There's a lot of metal and a lot of energy tied up in rocks and whatnot all around this island. You can see there's an Easter Island statue here, a little face of a dude. That might be a good clip, actually. Let's take a picture of that. Oh no, he's being eaten alive. How horrible. It is quite a lot of metal though, so it's really important to get those slopped up nice and neatly just so that you can fold it back into your army, and of course, your army grows ever bigger. We do see these REZ bots kind of trapped in back here now. They push pretty far forward, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get out of here. There's quite a lot of units pushed forward here. We see a lot of grunts taking down the forward production facility of Rikers, and we are right into this match. Talk about an action-packed adventure here. We are straight into the action. 4 minutes in, hundreds of casualties, war as hell, and I love to see it. Now we have an incongruity here. We have a bot lab up against a vehicle lab, which does mean that these two players are going to have to be, well, specifically Yeba is going to have to be very careful about how the engagements go here. We need to see Reclaim on the front line if we want to build an army big enough to handle all of those vehicles. And indeed, we do see the res bots here. That's very, very nicely done. Going for the resurrection here, and I actually think that's a great idea, because if you can resurrect those vehicles specifically, that's going to give you the HP. It's going to make up that HP difference that you see usually when you have a player going for bots versus a player going for vehicles. So I think this is a great move to resurrect all these downed units here on the front line, and then just eat up whatever else is left. That's a great job posturing there. Any kill that you get is basically a free unit added to your arsenal, at least in this early game, before you start doing crazy amounts of damage and destroying things outright. Good posturing here, making sure to move the units forward and backwards as necessary. Rocketeer in a little bit of trouble. Ooh, it does go down, but that's okay. The res bots are here, so they can just pick that thing right back up, put it back in the army in no time. Very nicely done there. Teffion in a little bit of trouble here. A bunch of grunts pushing forward. This is just a mostly tech army, so those ticks are really good. They're very efficient because they can get a surround on enemies very, very easily, and that means that they can get some phenomenal trades. They can also increase the damage of your units. It's a less common mechanic to talk about, but if you think about it, whenever a tick runs past an enemy unit, it suddenly triggers the flanking bonus damage. So that unit now suddenly takes way more damage from behind. So your base units don't have to flank, but you can still put something behind to make those units take a lot more damage. It's a really cool mechanic. Definitely a high level strategic mechanic to use there. Riker's trying to rebuild from this forward position that was lost. It looks like the production facility, was it degunned? I don't see it anywhere here. Must have been degunned by Hog Massive, who, yeah, is now commanding a pretty impressive army towards Riker's. Riker's in a little bit of trouble here. Commander down to 8% health, 5%, 2%, 1%, oh, 0%, and the commander goes down just like that. That's a great pick for Hawk Massive, especially because he didn't lose the army in the killing of the commander. Absolutely phenomenal. If we see any res bots moving to the front to capture that commander, I would say this is an oppressive lead here for Hog Massive. Things are looking dire for the red team, indeed. These units are trickling outwards, meaning that they're not going to be grouped up and they're going to be a lot less effective. So this is definitely a pain. Yeah, Riker's still trying to hold on to this section of the map, but unfortunately, as the commander moves over, I think he's going to have to give it up. We do see a bunch of these res bots here were caught. That is quite unfortunate to see these blitzes moving forward here. Looks like they will retreat. Get off the front lines as quickly as they can. Nicely done. Get in, take a few units, get out. Very nice. We do see rocket bots here, so we can actually push into this. We're not opting to siege slowly, though. We're going for the kill. Smelling blood in the water. Yeba wants the commander. A trade for a trade. Blood for the blood gods. And the commander goes down, unfortunately sacrificing most of the entire army there in order to get it. So now Purple has a commanding lead over the army presence in this area, and so I think these stouts are going to do quite a bit of damage if we don't see a lot more units pumped out here. Looks like Andreas is still working on economy? What are we stalling on here? I guess we're stalled on metal. Interesting. We are building tons and tons of these energy converters. Our bars here are sharing and giving as well, so it looks like there's a lot of energy excess handed over from these other players here. We're basically stalling on metal mostly. I'd love to see this spot switched over to Reclaim. I think that might be a phenomenal way to get a lot more metal sent back to your team. I think you already have the unit presence here to command this area, so I think reclaiming would probably be a good idea. Resurrecting some of the static defense, that's also an interesting idea. Very nicely done. We do see this commander has been eaten up completely by Hog Massive, but it looks like we were just turning it into more units here. We're not going to go for the tech up, which is a bit of a shame. I think actually the tech up... Ooh, we're eating this lab, but we're full on metal, so that's actually just going to be a waste of 600 metal. Ooh, come on, cancel that. No, don't do it. Oh, okay. Well, the entire rest of the team is really grateful for this sudden spurt of probably about 250 metal each. What would that be? 500? A little less than that. 200 metal each, more or less. Yeah, very generous gift here from Hog Massive. Kind of surrendering the lead that he had at one point and now just handing it over to the teammates. I mean, not a terrible decision, of course. Like, if the teammates have metal, they're going to be able to use it. We do see this commander here being eaten up by lottery apples. That's very nice that he's actually able to get that. Although some pawns run around and they actually find the construction vehicle. Oh, yeah, can we get the snipe here? That'd be really nice. Oh, it's pretty hurt, but I don't think they're going to get it. Yeah, some stouts sent in from reinforcements actually managed to drive them back. Now we have some brutes here fighting off the stouts, the T1 medium tanks here for the Cortex player. And it looks like these are actually going to be doing a tremendous amount of damage. Most of these tanks are going to be pushed back. If we see some more resbots on the field, we do. Very, very nice job keeping those resbots flowing forward. I really love to see that. Wow, what an oppressive line of rocket bots here. How many rocket bots do we see? 14 rocket bots and 12 thugs, and together that is a dangerous army. Definitely outguns this army, but we do have the defender's advantage, of course, so this army is going to be reinforced a whole lot quicker than this one can. That being said, there is a forward vehicle lab on the front lines here, and we are overflowing metal and energy, so I'd love to see more build power coming up. It looks like we do. Looks like we have these forward construction turrets pumping out some more of these vehicles here and there. Very nicely done. Red commanding a very nice lead here. Looks like the resurrection of these units has built the army up tremendously high. Wow, talk about action-packed. There's just something to look at all around the entire front of this map here. I love these 4v4 games for exactly how quickly they pick up and get to the action so quickly like this. Stouts here, commanding a really dangerous presence on the front lines. Some very, very bold resurrection bots here. We have a Dragon's Maw, the pop-up flamethrower turret, here to try and help extinguish some of these stouts' lives. Brute does go down here on the front lines, and these T1 medium tanks are becoming very, very annoying. We see an air lab here for huge game. That's actually interesting. Maybe we'll go for some early bombing or something like that. I would love to see some anti-air turrets. Ah, we actually do see some anti-air turrets. We've already got a chainsaw building. We've got some of these nettles, the light anti-aircraft turrets. At least in Tefion's base. Looks like most of these other bases are actually slacking in that department a little bit. We need some more energy production here. I think Andreas is a little bit unaware of exactly how much he's coasting on the energy of his teammates to give him a to allow his economy to flourish here. So I would love to see a little bit more energy production. I mean, maybe they discussed this earlier. The plan was to just have him build energy converters and build no economy, but I doubt it. You know, maybe they'll correct me in the comments down below. Feel free to go type something down there as well, or just say hello from wherever you're typing in from. We have lovely folks from all over the world here. I'd love to hear from every single one of you down below. Give me that dopamine hit. Now this army of thugs is finally big enough to contest this, and Hog Massive is very, very, very aggressive on these front lines, probably overextended here as a bunch of these tanks actually get caught, and this huge Pawn and Grunt mixtured army, this bastard army is moving forward and slowly eating up one tank at a time. The bots aren't great against the tanks, but if there's any way to do it, it's just like this. You just surround the tanks and you're going to get that huge surround bonus. Every one of those attacks is going to do almost double the damage. Very, very nicely done here. Meanwhile, the thugs are actively pushing these bot units here, pushing them away from their homeland, trying to defend their peace. And the REZ bots are folding more and more of those fallen soldiers into the undead army. Very nice, very brutal. You absolutely love to see it. These thugs can be downright oppressive in the way that they push forward. At this point, Tefion is actually commanding a really, really nice lead here, extended onto the front line, and we see Huge Game actually pushed back all the way to his defensive structures in the rear here. Looks like Wild Guy Kills finally has a Tech 2 lab up, so that's very nice to see. Are we doing Tech 2 for the whole team? I'd love to see some Tech 2 constructors handed out to the team. Maybe just to the purple player here, a Lottery Apple. That would be a really nice move. Just get that T2 economy up for the other teammate. That would be very, very nice. What do we see as far as T2 goes for the red team down here? Looks like for the most part, Tefion is the only one that's actually gone for a T2 lab. I think that's probably a smart idea, especially in these 4v4s. Just have one player go for the T2 and then everybody else buys them. Yeah, indeed, Tefion hands over the constructor. That's very, very nice. Those constructors are going to be absolutely necessary in tilting the tides of this battle. Dragon Claw here. Excellent defensive turret. Very, very good for melting down tanks. Probably the best option you have, short of a heavy laser turret, in order to deal with those early T1 tanks. Ooh, riot tanks are out now, and those are really hard to deal with. Luckily, these thugs do outrange them, at least I believe so. 380 range against 315, so it's a pretty close match, but the thugs do outrange the riot tanks. So I'd love to see these pushing forward, and then when the riot tanks start pushing, you just start retreating them backwards, because of course the thugs can fire while they move, so you just kite properly, and you should have nearly infinite value against those thugs, or against those riot tanks, and I think it would be really, really swell. Also, you can see just how big this army is getting, because none of these units are off the battlefield for too long. They fall over and then they get picked right back up. There's also a lot of these that are low health, so I'd love maybe 2 of these res bots just to go around and heal everybody up. Just give them the repair command. I think it's just E. No, R. Yeah, R for repair. And you just give them a command like that, left click and drag, and then they will repair everybody back up to full health. Probably better to just get more units out on the field though, so I guess resurrecting is just the same. I do like this, splitting up a few of the units to push them around this side. There's actually no defenses over here, and that means that Rikers is going to scout that. Going to be tremendous for a scouting pattern there, going to find out exactly how much of an advantage he actually has over Hog Massive, who's now just pumping out as many riot tanks as possible, and that's a huge metal sink. So yeah, indeed, Hog Massive now at a devastating metal disadvantage here, a metal shortage. And I think we should definitely focus on building up these T2 metal extractors, since we are not giving a T2 constructor to our teammates here. That, and we need to see all this reclaimed. Indeed, we do see a bot over here, but that's going to take quite a while. The entire army is relocating here. I think I would rather see most of this army kept here for a posturing, and then just a few units pushed around the side. That's less likely to trigger this entire relocation. And of course, this choke point is going to be much more advantageous to the tanks, right? It'll be advantageous to whatever has more health, and in this case, it's going to be the vehicles. So that being said, I guess the numbers here are definitely in the advantage. Oh, but these are all grouped up, so every time one of these riot tanks fights, it's going to leave a huge, huge mark. Yeah, the AoE from those guys is just devastating. Oh, yeah, look at all those guys go down. Wow, that was immensely satisfying, and just like that, we see the entire tide of this battle turn in Hog Massive's favor. Hold on, I gotta take a look at this. How much metal is that? Holy cannoli, that's 3,302 metal. Definitely enough to get yourself into a very nice economy lead. Yeah, right away, we should definitely see some reclaim here. No, I don't think we need the metal extractors at all. I think, yep, there we go. We need to see the reclaim. Wow, excellently done. Hog Massive taking in just an absolutely phenomenal trade right there. Couldn't have asked for a better trade. Those thugs were completely grouped up. They were not kited well at all. This is a much better trade for Rikers. You can see you can just kite backwards with these and get infinite value. Of course, you give up distance, but that's all right because there's no metal extractors here to defend anyway, so we don't really care about distance. We need to just make sure that we get the ultimate value out of our units as possible. Especially since we don't have T2 up yet. We do have the T2 constructor here that was given from Teffion, I believe, which is quite nice, but we definitely aren't quite to the T2 economy yet. Now this is interesting. We do see some REZ bots that marched forward, and they are going to find their demise here. Quite unfortunate. I heard snipers. Ah, there they are. Teffion busting out the sharpshooters. Absolutely one of my favorite units. They are just completely devastating. Every time a sniper chimes, a Cortex commander loses its units. I don't know, something fairy tale rhyme. Yeah, look at that. They just point, click, and away go the units. With this ghost over here, this spy bot, in order to give vision, these snipers can be just so annoying. Well, like your units just keep going away. You don't even know what's happening. They just keep disappearing. It's totally devastating. Looks like the spy won't be found here, so going to be granting quite a lot of vision. If we take a look at the vision radius here, you can see that with the radar bots, this is definitely a nice little advantage here. Ooh, the last sniper just barely avoids getting shot. Well, for a little while anyway. But a lot of this does actually get jumped on by some pawns who realize that this is actually just a lot of siege units, not a whole lot of assault units. So actually a nice little fight right there. We do see some reclaim off these front lines here. Let's actually check how much metal is tied up in this metal field. 5,000 metal, yeah. That's, that probably warrants a gauntlet. I would say that's fair. You could afford 5 of them with the amount of metal that's in that single lane right there. So kudos to you for making that decision. Reclaim all that juicy metal, and you're going to be in a great position here. Now, likewise, we do have the blue player here, Hog Massive, who has teched up quite nicely. I believe that was probably based on the massive metal field that was reclaimed over in this area. That was probably what gave him the amount of metal in order to tech up to a full T2 lab, as well as get some of these advanced metal extractors up and running. We're starting up a fusion reactor as well. Probably a bit less important than the metal extractors right now. Yeah, we're stalling on metal rather than energy, so I think I like this extractor coming up, but as soon as these come online, they're going to take so much energy anyways that it's definitely worth it to start up the fusion reactors. Those fusion reactors also a little bit cheaper for the Cortex faction anyway, so it's quite nice. Now some tick harassment. Ooh, I love to see it. These ticks, they can be such a pain. They can really get into the nooks and crannies of a base and just absolutely devastate it in ways that no other unit really can, and so I absolutely think that's a great play right there. Definitely a phenomenal job. It also means that this army has to retreat to go defend, which gives you phenomenal access to all this metal. Really nicely done here. Excellently played by Yeva here. getting the absolute most out of every single unit that is left on the field. That is what it's all about. That's the uniqueness that brought me to Bar in the first place, is the fact that these enemies, well, these units in general, you see, they leave behind their wreckages on the field, and then that means that you can go pick up their corpses. I mean, when I first heard of that concept, I thought it was so foreign to me, coming from StarCraft or, you know, other RTS games, and it's just done so phenomenally in this game that I don't know. It's just one of my all-time favorite mechanics that I've learned about and gotten so used to it beyond all reason. Anyway, enough gushing about my fanboying over this game aside. I'm sure you're all here because you love the game too. Huge push right now with these riot tanks finally being used a bit offensively, pushing through this choke point, but it looks like the thugs are basically just going to push forward. I think I would like to see these put into a nice conical shape, just kind of a big concave like this. I think I have a video, a tutorial video about where I talk about the shapes of units. It's called like Roman strategy or something Roman strategy. Go take a look at that one if you're curious about the reason why it's good to have a convex versus a concave. But anyway, these units have pushed through now, and there's a few of these lashers, the missile trucks that have broken the lines. T1 medium tank desperately trying to hold on here. Bomber also dropping bombs on a lot of these windmills. This is a really dangerous positioning right here. These are completely exposed. But we do see some T2 units are out on the field, so we are eventually going to be able to deal with these riot tanks. You can see the snipers blasting them down with one shot each. The one-shot wonder. And indeed, these riot tanks are very slow too, so they're hard to use as an aggressive unit because they just take so long to move around. Not very maneuverable at all. Meanwhile, some Sheldon have been put on the front line here, and I'd love to see this spy bot moved over to paralyze these. I think that might actually be a really phenomenal use of this spy bot. But it looks like the Sheldon, for the meantime, will just take down most of Orange's production. That's going to leave this entire right side quite exposed for at least a little while. We can see this entire windmill facility goes up, and indeed Orange's economy plummets back down to 51 energy and 24 metal. Luckily, there's a few advanced metal extractors over here, and hopefully these get, well, they stay alive, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like blue is still pushing forward. A lot of the units have died here, so once this is mopped up, it's going to be a tremendous metal field. Indeed, you can see the REZ bot's already hard at work reclaiming whatever is safe to. But for the meantime, this push is still going strong. Very nice aggression. This has also opened up the aggressive pathway right down the middle of the map here, and we do see a couple of fiends pushing forward. Well, they have stopped suddenly. Not sure exactly why, but they have. Alright, they were scared of the sniper fire, but unfortunately, the snipers were not scared of them. Firing down upon them, and they actually managed to catch them at a nice little choke point here. Okay, so we're retreating here, hopefully to detonate this spy bot. Is that the plan here? Maybe not. Maybe we're just distracted. Spy bot is revealed and will go down, so that's unfortunate to see. Constructor also in a little bit of danger here as it moves forward. Looks like we're mostly just trying to deal with this huge push coming in this way. A lot of these Sheldons being mopped up here by the welders. Ooh, excellent use of the spy bot there, paralyzing a bunch of these guys so that they can't do any more damage. I'd love to see some more welders brought back here to deal with these. These are going to be paralyzed for a long, long time, so we're definitely in no rush there. Now this is quite dangerous. We do still have these Sheldons marching on from the right-hand side. And what are we looking like out mid? Looks like, for the most part, Wild Guy Kills is not pushing anymore. There's not really a big army anymore. Mostly just res bots here. Tefion's commander does go down. Are we resing this, or are we reclaiming? Not sure what the plan is here. Sheldon's so annoying because they can, of course, they can outwalk your welders. So they're faster than a welder. Well, they might not be faster, actually. Let's check the speed on these. Speed of 47, speed of 50s. Yeah, so they're slightly faster than a welder. But of course they can outrange the welder, so they can get like almost infinite value there. It's really, really annoying. But the snipers can shoot much further than the Sheldon can shell. And so indeed these snipers will eventually pick them off one shot at a time. A little bit overkill, but that's what's necessary sometimes to win the battle. Now Tefion is going to have his work cut out for him. Definitely going to have a whole right-hand side to deal with here. Yeah, it looks like their pink player here, their hot pink player, has decided to tap out of the game. So if they're looking to come back into this match, it's definitely going to be up to this right-hand side. Oh, Tefion actually taps out as well. Yeba takes over the production facilities here. Interesting. Hog Massive says GG. Tefion says GG, well played. Andreas says GG as well, but the game is not over, as we do still have a push here. Some Fiends moving through, trying to get some work done, but these lightning turrets actually a pretty decent counter to the Fiends. They can shoot pretty far, they can chain react, and of course the fiends, when they die, I've said it before and I'll say it again, they explode in a little AoE whenever they die. If we actually look here, you can see they have a nice little explosion radius. This inner radius is what happens if they're killed, this outer radius is what happens if they self-destruct. So you do actually technically have some micro potential to your fiends, believe it or not. But in this case, I think there's not enough fiends here to keep pushing forward. There are some bulls out on the field now, which are definitely going to be pretty good at mopping up these fiends. Whoa, huge D-guns coming out here, tremendous value, but there's still too many units. The snipers are cloaked and pushing in behind. Excellently done here. I'd love to see these welders spread out a little bit. So the snipers are firing on this group of grunts here, trying to get as much value as possible. The grunts overwhelming the snipers, of course. That is one excellent counter to sniper fire, is to just produce a whole lot more units, ticks or grunts, whatever you need, whatever you feel like. Completely up to you. We have some bulls here taking fire from a bull of Yeba now, the yellow player, who has taken over Orange's base, or rather taken over Red's base. Orange still well and alive here in the bottom left-hand corner. And I think that might have been a bit of a premature quit here. Yeah, we see a lot of those radars and radar jammer bots being blown up now by a Juno. I'm not sure exactly where that was. Let's see if we can find it. Was it a Juno for the blue team? Oh, it might have been. Yeah, it might have been this one right here. Interesting. Blowing up our own radar units. That's a bit unfortunate. The ghosts are moving forward to paralyze any of these units that they can. It's very nice to see here. Fiends getting so much damage in, though. I'm really worried about this base here. These fiends are pushing forward. The Sheldon march behind that. The bulls are very tough, though. Definitely very tough for these Sheldon to deal with, and you can see just a few shots from these bulls manages to take down a Sheldon, so especially if they group up, it's definitely going to be no bueno for those Sheldon. But there's so many of them, I don't know if Yellow is going to be able to hold on. There's fiends in the backline ravaging the economy here. We need to see a few units diverted in that direction. We have Resbots here on a consistent production queue. Looks like those are just queued up out of this. Yeah, we have one Resbot, one pawn. I think it's very nicely done. Fiends running across the entire back lane here, and we do see a couple of these Resbots. I'd love to see these either start resurrecting or reclaiming or both, whatever it takes to get a bigger presence over here. I think that might be a phenomenal thing to see. Fiends are still active in the back line here, and they are just tearing apart this economy, one windmill at a time. Finally, we see some welders diverted to deal with this, but they've gotten so much value in this back line. Are these like 3-star generals now? Yeah. See, one of them a silver star, one of them a 3-bar. Yeah, they're definitely putting in a lot of work. Whoa, look at this. There's actually a counterattack here. It looks like Rikers and Yeba have both moved across the map and actually gotten a ton of units through. These are a bunch of bulls and lightning tanks, as well as a hero pawn here. We'll call him Paunius. The Pawning. Rise of the Pawn Walker. The hero pawn leading the charge here with some bulls and lightning tanks in order to ravage the backline here. So this actually can do a tremendous amount of damage. If these can sweep through the backline, destroy all this economy, it's going to shut down a whole lot of that production, and then every unit that you kill is suddenly one of the last units that the enemy has here. We're also resurrecting, which is quite nice to see. We're going to be bringing the enemy's units back to life to fight against them. Always epic to see. A bunch of these fiends moving forward now. Bull is going to be firing at them. 1, 2, 3. And the fiends go up in smoke. Now, there's still 4 of them, and those can definitely do quite a lot of damage here. There's some welders on guard, though. Oh, come on, take your shot. You can do it. Not sure why this one wasn't firing, that's a bit odd. But this other welder that just popped out of the facility, more than happy to lightning down those enemies. Now, if we take a look up north, we can see that indeed these bulls have ravaged this economy. They're destroying windmills, they're destroying metal extractors, they're destroying everything. The whole base is crumbling to pieces. As Hog Massive takes a huge hit in the backline. Love to see these Sheldon mopped up by these bulls. I'd love to see this fusion reactor go down. Looks like that's what we're going to target down. I think it's a great decision. It goes up, and the blue economy goes down. I think these bulls are going to be sacrificial here, but there's still a few more coming in from the side. These T1 medium tanks are no match for these bulls. They are very heavy tanks, and definitely very, very good against any of those lighter tanks. You know, blasting down any of the economy structures on this side here. It would only take one shot to blow up this whole thing, so I'd love to see that as well. Come on. There we go. Takes down that turret too, which was right next to all those dynamite-strapped buildings. Very, very nicely done. We see Rikers pushing forward on the left-hand side and destroying more of Purple's production here. And suddenly this has opened up the entire left-hand side of the map. We now have a sweeping match here. We have the left versus the right. Sheldon's being pushed here by these welders. The welders can't ever catch these Sheldon, but it does mean that these Sheldon are going to have to retreat at least a little ways. And of course the REZ bots are behind to just pick up all of these fallen soldiers and fold them back into the mix. That's quite nice. I would love to see these REZ bots also working on some of this right-hand stuff, just get them working on an idle queue. But of course there's a lot to manage. We've got backline fighters, we've got frontline fighters, we've got a whole base to micromanage. Very, very nicely done. Riker's still producing. I wonder why this lab was backwards. Maybe that was just a heat of the moment kind of thing. Just a moment of passion. Either way, that's very nice that we're still pumping out these T1 medium tanks. Those are still going to be very, very popular, very powerful. And we can see the production for Purple is completely ravaged at this point. Nothing left for Purple here. Indeed, decides to tap out for this team. Sorry, I was looking at the red team there. That's a very similar shade than Hot Pink and the Purple player. But the Purple is a blue player, and now Green's production is also in quite a lot of trouble. We see these advanced metal extractors under quite a bit of fire here. Some Mauser are out. That's quite nice, but I don't think there's enough here to at the very least stop this facility from going down. We see the T1 production facility is down as well. The solar panels are falling. The advanced metal extractors are falling. Everything is falling. The lightning tanks in the back for fire support, and also to knock out any of these airships that are in the air. Sentence sounded a lot better in my head before I started talking, but that is the curse of the commentator, I suppose. Advanced solar panels here also get blasted down, and with that, I think Green is knocked out of this game. Ooh, that's a heavy hit. Looks like Yeva's commander does go down, and that means that the red team is down to their last commander. Riker's now in quite a bit of trouble here, but these Sheldon, which have been such a pain this entire match, finally get surrounded, and I think all of them are going to fall. That is a good catch right there. Excellently played. We surround them with the welders and the lightning tanks and the brutes. All of it come together, take down those Sheldons, and we can see that now the army for the blue player is completely ravaged. We have a lot in the back line to defend, but that means the front line is completely exposed, which is really, really nice. We have a whole group of our own Sheldon now that have been resurrected from the ashes of previous battles. We see a whole lot of Sheldons back here, like I said earlier, hoping to defend, but these lightning tanks are really quick, so they can actually dodge a lot of this Sheldon fire. That's very, very nicely done. Excellent raiding unit right there. I'd love to see some reclaim bots, some REZ bots moving around the back here to eat up all of this metal back here. I think that would be phenomenal. What do the ecos look like for both of these teams? We have 57 metal for our yellow player here, and we have 26 metal for the orange. For our aquamarine player, we are looking at 7 metal production. Ooh, that hurts. And we are looking at 69. All right, very nice. Very nice indeed for our blue player here, but we are e-stalling something awful because we do not have this advanced fusion reactor, or rather this regular fusion reactor. Well, we don't have any advanced fusion reactors either, but yeah, definitely that hurts quite a bit. This could be quite a bit more dangerous if we actually had the fusion reactor up and running. I think that's what we're starting up this T1 bot lab for, is to get those REZ bots up so we can actually bring this stuff back online. Lightning tanks getting dangerously close though, and every second that this army is down here defending, they are not pushing the front lines further, which just gives yellow more and more of an advantage. Absolutely phenomenal, the pressure that is being put on here. We can see the Mauser here being surrounded once again. These surrounding flanks are completely high level plays here. You can see the welders surrounding from every angle and then getting the jump on all of these vehicles. Definitely one way to get an absolute maximum value out of your army. Use that surround bonus to nearly double the amount of damage that they can do. Huge game and a lot of trouble here. Commander looking like it's going to go down. We have a bunch of welders on it. We have a bunch of medium tanks. This whole facility is in a lot of danger here. Commander goes up in smoke, wipes out a lot of those welders, but there's still plenty on the back of it. We see these medium tanks moving forward still. Takes out some energy converters. Yeah, why not? We'll take out this air lab. Excuse me. Well, we'll take out the light laser for... I'm getting choked up on my words here. Take out the light laser turret first. I think that's probably a good idea. Make sure that these tanks don't go down, and then they're free to ravage everything else back here. Wow, what a turn. Aquamarine has now been completely wiped off the map. There's a few production facilities back here, but the metal income is up to 2. 2 metal per second. Oh no, I apologize. We're up to 0 metal per second. Wow, yeah, and we are suddenly down to a 1v2 situation here. A lot of REZ bots on the front line, just picking up whatever units they can. I think that's great. We are seeing, we do see a commander that's been brought back. Looks like this one right here. Yeba's commander has been brought back to life by some REZ bots here, and I think those REZ bots have definitely been the play of the game. We see those being constantly brought back, or using those to constantly bring things back to life. Excuse me, and I think that's absolutely turned the tides here. So this sniper firing on these bulls. That's a pretty bold sniper. But these Sheldon are probably going to have just as much success here as they start marching forward. Maybe I spoke too soon. Well, they're thinking about it. They're thinking about it. Welders on the march here. This is a pretty dangerous force of welders. That's a lot of Sheldons, though. Those probably are enough to mop up these Sheldons, or mop up these welders, but I still think it's going to be quite a while before that actually happens. We have REZ bots moving forward. Are we just commanding them all? We don't have them on a hotkey, so they're basically just all free controlled here. But you can see all these units coming back to life in the middle of the battlefield, which is quite nice because it means that your reinforcements also don't have to walk quite as far. We see gunships coming out here. That's quite interesting. We have gunships, scouts, and fighters. That's quite nice to see. The only air player was for the blue team, and it was the aquamarine player. A few bombers left on the ground over here. That's quite unfortunate that those never really got their day in the sun. Hog Massive took something. Took a bunch of metal. I'm not sure where they got that from. But doing a good job of defending the front line here, hoping to outgrow the economy. But at this point, I mean, this fusion reactor isn't even back online yet. We are stalling on energy because, of course, resurrecting takes energy in order to do. So we're spending all of our energy here trying to resurrect. Yeah, well, we need to be anyway. We should probably stop production because otherwise this is never going to come back online. Really, absolutely important to get that fusion reactor back online. So that's a bit of a misappropriation of resources there. I think if the energy was actually going into resurrecting this would be up much sooner. And then of course you can resurrect everything else quite a bit further. So that is very nice. Hog Massive saying, I think it's GG. Huge game still in the game. We do see some construction units built again, which is quite impressive. Always nice to see a player never give up. Always try your best, try your hardest, even if it looks dire. And this is what you might be rewarded with. I'll remind you folks that they were pushed into 1.5 players here. The red team was. And indeed, it looks like the blue player will tap out here. Huge Massive decides to call it quits, and with that, the game is decided. Wow, what a switchback. Really didn't expect that. I think these were the heroes of the storm here. Heroes of the storm. These were the heroes of the show. You can see these REZ bots doing a lot of work here. Can I move this? Oh, I suppose I can't move this. Okay, we'll close that for now. Absolutely phenomenal. These little guys have brought this game back into the fight, and that is excellently well done. Huge commendation to our yellow team, and thank you personally, right there. I'm pointing at you. You can't see it. Don't have my camera on, but I'm pointing at you. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.